Welcome to Tech Confidential's Behind the Money. I'm Mary Kathleen Flynn, and I'm at the Web 2.0 Expo in New York, and I'm talking with Lane Becker, who is the co-founder and president of Get Satisfaction. A lot of people have been telling me about your company, and they're intrigued. I know
That's
you're
exciting.
Sure
I'm glad to hear that.
I'm intrigued because you're using social networking for customer service. So let's just start with that. Explain what you're doing.
Sure. Well, we set out when we started the company, the question we had for ourselves is how can we take everything that's really interesting about Web 2.0, everything that's really interesting about social media and the technologies and the way that people are able to connect up and communicate so frictionlessly. Let's take that and see if we can apply it to a real world problem. Let's see if we can solve a business problem with these technologies. So it's not just about, not that there's anything wrong with, in fact, there's lots that's great about people talking to each other more and more, but how can we apply that to an environment and make it more successful? And the one we chose was customer service. And specifically, we were interested in seeing if we could help companies both lower the costs associated with customer service while also fostering more engaged, more satisfied customers by using social tools.
So is part of it that you're getting other customers to help each other out?
Yeah, absolutely. So the way it works with Get Satisfaction is anybody can come to Get Satisfaction and start a discussion about any company or any of that company's products or services, and then they can have a conversation, what we call an outcome-oriented conversation, right, where they either ask a question and get an answer, or share an idea and get people's responses, or report a problem and get solutions, and they can get those from any number of different types of people, from other casual customers who've had the same problem, from dedicated experts who are really involved in the space, or in fact from the company employees themselves. And as of this moment, we have about 7,000 companies listed on Get Satisfaction, and of those 7,000 companies, we have over half of them actively participating. And that means that one or more employees is actually in there and answering questions alongside the customers.
Give me a feel for the business model. I mean, those are your clients, I take it, the companies that you're providing the customer support for.
Right. So the initial sort of introduction is free. We're about to roll out some self-service, some premium tools for the companies that are using the service to help them bake it and integrate it back into their existing systems more. So the way we see Get Satisfaction is it's a third-party space that, it's this conversation that customers are having and companies can get in and get involved and can get value out of. So that comes out in a couple of different ways. One is, you can use it to reduce customer service costs, right? So we have companies, and this is the free part. We have companies who, they come in and they can use our widgets. They can put them basically in front of their traditional email flow, so you basically get the community out in front of your email. And they see, depending on the type of company, their email drops overnight 20 to 85%. Right, which is pretty fantastic when you think about the support costs that are associated with it. At the same time, they're building up their community. So our business model, as it's developing in that startup-y kind of way, is, we've got a couple of different things that we're trying, but one of them is that we're allowing companies sort of more moderation, more control over the environment, better reporting tools to understand how they're doing, and we're going to be charging for that on a self-service basis. We're also working with some companies to do deeper integrations with their own systems, to start to get some of that sort of Get Satisfaction mojo in their own services and to pull their customers back in certain ways.
Well, I was going to ask, I mean, obviously there are customer retention issues, there are sales leads, I mean, they could be using it to offer more services, so are you going to get into the revenue stream that way? Yeah,
absolutely. So we're just starting to dip our toes in the water now of starting to charge companies, and our plan is to build out a suite of tools. I mean, when you think about it, the number of things that you can do when you have a dedicated community that you're communicating with and that's communicating with each other is pretty significant. So identifying sales leads and sales opportunities, identifying evangelists and figuring out how to harness them in certain ways, even just basic analytics and reporting on how well the company is engaging with their community. So if you think about it, companies have, there are all sorts of companies who are getting out into the blogosphere and into Twitter and they're engaging with their customers, but right now they don't actually have an effective way to report or measure their value, right? They can do that with their traditional customer service tools, but they don't know how well they're doing sort of outside in this environment. So even just something as simple as reporting tools against how they're doing in this sort of more community-oriented collaborative space with their customers is something that companies are really willing to pay a surprising amount of money for.
I'm sure your investors are pleased to hear that. Give us a feel for the funding. Where are you in this stage, and who are the backers?
So technically a Series A, but we call it our Series Seed. Is a $2 million round with a couple of some friends and family money in there, but 3 funds participating. First round capital with Rob Hayes as the lead on that one. O'Reilly's new Alpha Tech Fund with Bryce Roberts as the participating lead from that as the partner, and Jeff Clavier's Soft-Tech VC Fund.
So are you raising more capital now?
We're definitely getting ready to raise more capital. We don't have an exact timeline for it yet, But do the math on $2 million and the 2 years we've been in business. It's not too hard to figure out that we've got to go back out pretty soon.
So Lane, before we let you go, I'm asking everybody about the economy. Are you feeling the pressure from the crisis on Wall Street?
It's definitely an issue. I mean, one of the things that we're in the middle of right now is, we built out our product, and as you can see, we're starting to build out our revenue streams. We're starting to build out our revenue approach. So we're testing out different things, and certainly we've seen that some of the companies we've been talking to about some of these enterprise sales and some of the integration work we want to do, I can see them getting a little skittish. And particularly for us, some of the challenges in the fact that in a lot of ways the community space is perceived as this kind of soft, fluffy thing that, first to go on the chopping block when revenues are threatened. So one of the things we're retooling to do right now is actually start to tune the system in a direction that's more about customer retention, because that's important in a challenging climate. It's more about reduced costs on customer service, because that's important if you can do it. And if you can do those both at the same time, great. From a funding perspective, I absolutely think, a big part of the reason we're going that way is entirely from a funding perspective. If you looked at our original plan, our sort of roadmap to revenue was a little further out than it is now, but in starting to test the waters, going back out and talking to some of the VCs, it's clear that they're going to want to see, when we go back out to talk to them, as a company that can say, here's the revenue plan that we have in mind, here are some early success stories that we can point to. They just want to see much more. They're much less
more
willing.
due diligence and more proving a business model for the Web 2.0 startups.
They're not as willing. They're not at all willing anymore to go off, hey, look, I've got a bunch of users.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you very much, Lane Becker from Get Satisfaction, and we're at the Web 2.0 Expo. I'm Mary Kathleen Flynn with Tech Confidential's Behind the Money. Thanks for watching.